Hello, folks, and welcome to another Writer's Showcase. I'm skipping a lot of the stuff, unfortunately, since I'm going to have to not run this from outside the stream since my mother's birthday is today and we're having her birthday lunch. So I will let it be a little bit longer than usual. If there are any guests, please just ping me and I'll bring you into the chat. Anyway, I think I will just bow out right now, unfortunately, so that my guests can take the floor.
I still have one question done. If
Shoot.
we are both done with our writing, do you mind if I then do another part or?
That's totally okay.
Okay, well, if we still need time, All right.
Um,
I think
just
clockwise would then be the best, right?
well, yeah. I mean, you're the one who actually has something fully prepared.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
All right. Then I will start. I will put a little summary on it so that everybody will know where the hell I was leaving off. The girls went to a smoothie bar, and it went well. It went not well. It didn't went so well. The book that Mina was reading was spilled over by the juicy drinks they had, and they are now on their way to the local library. And when they went to the local library, bloody damn jam crashed into a construction site, and that's where where we left off, where the girls are now looking for this gem so that they can collect it for later. As the girls arrive at the construction site, the dust cloud finally disappears, revealing a house that is no longer in great shape. Its wooden beams are broken, that's supposed to be holding up the roof, but it has collapsed under the impact of the crystal that just crashed. When the girls carefully move closer to see the impact up close on the house, their crystal necklaces start to glow. The girl's hair starts to change to the corresponding colors of their crystals. As Rufina finishes her transformation first, she feels the crystal energy racing through her body. After that, she asks, "So, what's the plan, Mina? Do you think it's dangerous? Or could it be one of those rock lizards again? Wow, I would love to see it. I would love to see if I can beat one of those things myself this time. I highly doubt that, since I took a look into the crystal and it seems to be harmless. But something else is coming for it. And since we already know that the crystal is magical, it might give that thing new powers, and we cannot allow that to happen. So, Lola, would you be so kind to run over there and bring back the crystal that is located underneath the piles of broken wooden beams?" Mina replies as she points towards the location inside of the collapsed house. In a blink of an eye, Lola's eyes turned yellow, and she moves with great speed towards the location that was pointed out by Mina. As she arrives on the spot, she leans with one hand on a stone wall as she tries to recover her breath. After finally recovering from using her powers, Lola starts looking for the crystal that lies underneath the broken wooden beams. She starts dragging them aside. After removing the last one, she discovers a green crystal laying underneath a rubble. As she picks up the green crystal, it starts to glow. She inspects it, only to see that it's still in one piece, even though it made such an impact with the building. After that, Lola looks back at the other two, and tries to show the green glowing crystal to them. But within seconds, the whole ground starts to shake and tremble. Within a blink of an eye, a purple rhino with crystal horns bursts through several walls of the building, charging in a straight line towards Lola. With a nervous undertone in her voice, Lola whispers to herself, that's not a rock lizard. That's a great angry big boy with sharp pointy horns. As her eyes start to glowing again, she begins to run. Shortly after that, she starts running with great speed towards Rufina, leaving the big purple rhino in the dust. After reaching Rufina, Lola falls on her knees from exhaustion. Rufina grabs Lola's left hand and oh fuck. Shit. Hold on. Yeah. I missed one sentence. I clicked too fast. Damn it. Where is it? There it is, right? Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. That's Hold on one sec. I need to get back to the place where I left off. I hate it when I misclicked. Sorry about this. No. Almost. There we are. Here we are. And now we're at the place, right? Yes. All right. There we go. As Rufina grabs Lola's left hand and puts it over her shoulder, she starts carefully lifting Lola up while looking towards the dust cloud that Lola just made. A big shadow starts appearing within the dust cloud, and with every passing second, it moves closer and closer towards the two girls. Rufina starts to check if Lola is okay, but only to see that she's still exhausted and out of breath. Seeing this, Rufina decides to turn her head towards Mina and shouts, "Mina! Lola is exhausted, and something big is coming fast towards us. What do we do now?" Mina looks at the big shadow in a cloud, and her eyes start turning blue again. After that, she shouts back at Rufina, "Well, one thing is for sure. It's the other magical source and its powers to create crystals. So be aware of that. And if we find its weakness, we will be able to defeat it. Just get ready for impact and try to hold it off. Well, I'll try to protect Lola until she fully recovers." Can you do that for me, Rufina? Quickly, Rufina responds with a thumbs up towards Mina. After that, Rufina gently removes Lola's arm from her shoulder and says with a calm voice, "Just you wait here, all right? Mina will pick you up soon. I must say, you already did a great job on retrieving that green crystal, so don't you worry. We got this from here." After that, she leaves Lola alone, and so Rufina starts moving towards the big moving shadow. While Rufina braces herself to stop whatever is coming towards them, Mina rushes over towards Lola and starts casting an icy wall in front of them to protect Lola from the threat that is coming. After a strong breeze, the dust finally disappears, revealing the big, angry purple rhino charging in a straight line towards Rufina. Within the confident smile, she looks at the big, angry purple rhino, eye to eye. As Rufina runs closer, as the rhino runs closer towards her, she proudly says, "I've seen bigger creatures than you. Not in 100 years I will let you through, you ugly purple-looking rhino." As the two make contact with each other, the big purple rhino presses onwards and tries to gore Rufina with its crystal horns. In reaction to that, Rufina grabs both hands to the front crystal horn and tries to slow it down while getting pushed backwards with immense force that the rhino created on impact. Within seconds, Rufina starts noticing that she's losing ground quickly. She turns her head only to see an icy wall getting closer and closer with every passing second. With sweat dripping on her face, she exhaustedly shouts, "Mina, how long is this gonna? How long until you're gonna help me out? Because I'm running out of ground before this creature is gonna crush me into that icy wall. Just give me one more second. I'll be there. I will be there soon, Rafina." Rena replies as looking at Lola to see that if she finally recovered. With a smile on her face, Lola looks at Mina and starts standing up. As Lola brushes off some dirt off her clothes, she says, "Eh. Thank you, Mina. I think we need to help Rufina now." And so Mina starts looking around for the option in the area, only to see a stone wall still standing behind them a couple of meters afar. After that, she replies to Lola, "You're right. I have a plan to how we can beat this beast. Please stand back, Lola. This is gonna be a very slippery one. I don't want you to get hurt while I'm doing this." And with a sudden crackling voice, the icy wall falls apart, leaving a muddy water puddle behind. After that, she turns the water into ice, creating an icy floor on the ground. And with a determined look on her face towards Rufina, she shouts, "Release your grip on the rhino now!" With only now seconds to spare, Mina hastily creates an additional layer of ice to make the icy floor even stronger. And as Rufina hears Mina's command, she looks backwards towards Mina, only to see that Mina and Lola are both on the left side of the area where the icy wall stood, and that is now being replaced by an icy floor. Knowing well that the rhino needs to be guided onto the icy floor, she decides to let go of her grip on the big purple rhino. Within a second, after removing her grip on the rhino, she pushes herself as far away as possible from the rhino. This causes her to land near Lola's feet. As Ravina stands up, the girls can clearly see that the big purple rhino tries to charge towards Lola. But when the rhino tries to turn itself on the icy floor to continue its charge towards Lola, the rhino loses its grip and causing itself to stumble on over its own feet. And as a result, the rhino crashes into the stone wall, head first. As the rhino stands up again, it shakes off the rubble of the stone wall and it starts charging towards the girls. With now the big purple rhino coming closer once again towards the girls, they have a clear look at its horns, and see they have been clearly damaged by the impact it just had. As Mina looks at the rhino, her eyes start to turn blue once again, followed by a smile on her face. Rufina looks at her and asks, "Did you figure something out, Mina?" "Yes. By the looks of it, its magical power source is fading, and I think it has to do something with those horns. As you clearly can see, they are heavily damaged by the impact it just had. I would suggest if you hit those horns as hard as you can." Rufina nods with her head towards Mina and starts getting ready to face the rhino head on again. As seconds passes by, her eyes starts to turn bright red, and her muscles begin to tighten. As Lola sees this happening, she begins to have a concerned look in her eyes. Shortly after that, she walks towards Mina and asks, "Are you sure this is going to work?" "Mina, what if Rufina is going to hurt herself? Or worse, her hand gets broken again, like that time we fought that stone golem? Don't you think it is a little bit reckless to letting her use her powers like that? You know what's going to be happening. You know what happened when we fought that stone golem, don't you? She had to stay at the hospital for almost 2 weeks after that. As Lola's voice starts to sound shaken, she begins to break down in tears. Mina, well knowing what is going to happen, she quickly hugs her, and with a gentle, calm voice, she replies, "Don't you worry, Lola. There is no need for crying here. You see, Rufina is in no real danger of using her powers this time, since I have a feeling this rhino isn't as tough as it seems to be. After all, it has nothing. It is nothing like that time we fought that stone golem. I just checked the rhino's magical energy, and it seems to be fading. So I think this big purple rhino isn't the real deal. Since if it would have been the real power source, it would have been used its powers by now. And if you look at the rhino right now, you can clearly see that the horns are looking like they are going to break off soon. So, if those horns are destroyed, the big purple rhino will disappear for sure. You really think so, Mina? Lola replies as she puts away her tears with her long yellow hair. As Rufina grabs her handkerchief out her pocket, she replies, "Of course! I have never been wrong before, haven't I? Here, take this. It's far better than putting away those tears than your fine long hair. After all, I don't want you to wake up with a cow. You don't want to be waking up tomorrow with a cow leg, don't you? What would Ethan think of that? Thinking of that, maybe. Thinking of that, maybe I do want to see that happen." Lola's doubt melts away after hearing those words, turning her worried face into a rose-red blush. As Mina sees this happening, she says to her, "Whoa, I'm just kidding, Lola. I merely was toying with you." Lola smiles as she tries to speak. To Mina. Their conversation gets interrupted by a loud crackling sound, followed by crystal particles flying through the air, causing the sky to turn a bit purple. As Mina and Lola turns their head towards the sound, they see Rufina celebrating. Shortly after that, Mina and Lola walk towards Rufina and start celebrating with her. As Rufina sees this, she hugs them both real tight, causing them to lift their causing them to almost lift their feet off the ground. And with an energetic voice, she says, "Oh my God, we did it, girls! We bested the overgrown purple rhino into pulp. Whoa, should have seen me smack that rhino's face straight into the ground. I feel so alive right now." As the girls try to remove Rufina's grip, their crystals deactivate, causing their colorful hair to turn back to normal. Soon after that, Rufina lets go of her hug and says with an exhausting undertone, "I forgot about this dance. Do you mind if we take a day off from going to the library, Mina? Because I'm a bit exhausted, and we can always bring that book back tomorrow." "Well, I don't mind taking a day off, since since I do want to take a better look at this green crystal that Lola has. If Lola doesn't mind, I'm sure we can take a day off," Mina replies as she looks at the green crystal with great interest in her eye. Lola looks at the two others and hands over the crystal to Mina. And with a little bit of hesitation in her voice, she asks, "So what are we going to do? So we're going to take a day off, right? But where are we going then?" As Lola says this, Mina and Rufina look at each other, and with a confident voice in Rufina's voice, she replies, "To our house, of course, you dummy. Do you really think I would go Do you really think I would go somewhere else today? I'm tired as hell. That rhino did some work on me. I must say, I have so many muscle sores, I can barely walk without having this painful feeling in them." Mina giggles for a bit, and shortly after that, she puts away the green glowing crystal in her purse, and she says with a gentle smile on her face, "Then it's settled. We're going home and celebrate this victory with some pancakes. Rufina's eyes widen as she hears the word pancakes coming up in the conversation and asks, "Wait, we do still have some left of yesterday? Oh, sweet. Then I claim the ones with bacon on them. I'll take the ones with apple and caramel, if nobody minds," Lola replies as the girls start walking out of the construction site. After hearing their reactions, Mina tries to hold in their laugh. "You two never change, do you?" "No way. Why would we? This life is the best after all. Getting free pancakes from Mina is always the greatest thing that ever happened to me. But I must still say, Lola is a better cook. At dinner, though," Rufina replies as she tries to do a joyful skipping from one stone to another. From one stone to another on the left part of the road, but every time she feels a bit of cramp kicking in, causing her to almost lose her balance. And so the girls take their leave and walk the route back towards their home. After some time passes, they cross the Dollarstone Bridge. But as the traffic light turns green, a man in a black suit passes by and ruefully pushes Lola aside. Mina Rafila quickly help Lola back on her feet. The annoyance is clearly shown on the girls' faces, but when they try to approach him, they see that he's far too busy having a conversation on his phone. Not wanting to interrupt the man with his important phone call, they decide it's not worth the trouble and move on. As the girls make it to the other side of the bridge, a black car with a purple Lotus logo passes by. The girls driving through a red light, only to make a full stop to pick up the man in the suit pick up the man in the suit. After that, it drives off into the direction that the girls just came from. That is it. Sorry about sometimes. I had some technical issues, but yeah, that was it.
Okay. Yeah, the stuttering was, and the pauses kind of broke the flow.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah. I don't really have much to commentate on. This neck pain is kind of distracting, so to say. Yeah, I woke up on
It
the wrong side of
happens.
the bed today,
It happens.
unfortunately. I'll let Aspiring share his thoughts first.
Well, I like the descriptions. Very comic book superhero-y, you know?
Thanks. That's
I mean,
the idea.
yeah,
It's the idea of a visual novel, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I do have the pictures with it and all that stuff, and I'm working currently on the prologue of it. So the first chapter. This is technically the second chapter, and I already have the character designs. I just need to create the environment and some of the expressions. So you saying that it feels comic book like is very, very good for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, if that is what you're going for, and well, that's the effect we're getting. Because I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, yeah, this is definitely some magic girl stuff that I'm hearing over here.
Yes, indeed,
Like-
it is a magical girl story. Yes, it's
Like-
the story of wholesomeness.
Yeah, like the fact that they're fighting a freaking purple rhino.
Exactly, a purple rhino and a dude stepping into a black car with a purple logo on it. And then the main chapter is actually called Something Purple. The beginning of Something Purple.
Yeah, man, bit on the nose over there, don't you think, Johan?
Yes, it's very sus. I wonder why the rhino was purple all along, and then and when he's defeated, the whole sky turns a little bit purple. Woo. Yeah,
So is this supposed to be like some sort of corruption?
No. One of the main villains that is trying to collect these the other crystals, let's put it that way, can create minions that are purple crystal creatures. But every time she does that, one of her body parts turns a bit crystal-like, so she cannot make too many minions to get her moving. But she is also a fashion designer and a goddamn mafia, so you get the point. The whole point is that she's a rich woman, and she has lackeys working for her, and eventually the lackeys discover that the green crystal has been taken by the girls and try to break into their house, only to find out that the green crystal is no longer there, nor in the possession of the girls. So it's very strange, and then conflict comes around and goes around. And she tries to figure out, the main villain tries to figure out where the crystal went, because the crystal is gone, even though there are now, instead of 3 girls, there are 4 girls. So it's quite strange.
Right.
So yeah, that's the whole point. I do have a picture for it, but I cannot show it right now, probably, because, well, it's not able to do.
Okay. Well, I apologize to you, Johan, as far as things like characterization is concerned, or what I think of the plot so far. I didn't really pick up on that, and yeah.
No worries. I will figure it out once I have my prelog fully drawn out and fully done, and then probably I will be able to do the second. I will do this chapter much more easier, because then I can put all the pictures together, put all the things together, and then it would be a far better, clearer story for you to follow with, even if you had a neck pain.
Yeah. Let's see. Did you have any other questions for us?
Well, since that you have not followed it, for the rest, did it feel nice, or didn't feel like any strange things going on, like in the story, like the progression of it, like there was a fight and there was a thing?
To be honest, there wasn't really anything that stuck out to me when I was listening to it. I did notice the description of like the magical powers and the crystals, and that was all pretty nice, well and good, and that's actually why I got the vibe that this is definitely like a magic girl, like Sailor Moon sort of story.
What do you think? What do you think of the I described the magical powers. What do you think of the downsides that I added to them? Did they feel like good downsides, or?
I didn't really notice any of the downsides, but that's more of a me problem than a you problem.
Aspiring, did you notice them? The downsides of using the powers?
Not particularly, no.
All right.
Admittedly, I came in like part way.
Yeah, that didn't help. It was fun.
Yeah, it's
a great start.
I'm really sorry, Johan.
No worries. Anyway, who has now the time? Let's put it that way.
Aspiring, if you would like to go first.
That might be indeed a smart move.
Why are you making me go first?
Well, he has a sore neck.
Well, it's not a sore neck. It's more like I strained it. Like, I literally woke up, and the first sensation I felt was, fuck, why does my neck hurt so much? And I just like rolled around a bit, like, holy crap, that is agonizing. That is agony. And then I realized that I might have either pulled it in my sleep, or there's a knot over there or something. I don't know what happened.
Good. Things like that happen.
Yeah. I mean, if it's of any consolation to you, Johan, I'll definitely come back and listen over to this again.
Well,
And we'll keep
when you guys are done, then I'll put something else on, and then you can get, then you maybe can focus on it and give that honest opinion. Maybe that's a better idea.
Yeah.
All right. I'm willing to enjoy this. Let's go.
Aspiring, would you like to go?
Question: were you here the last time I read this chapter, the Talking Heads one? This would be months ago.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Great, because I basically rewrote the fucking chapter.
Ah,
Yeah, basically.
What,
Reddit.
do we have a her haunches stuck up moment?
No.
I have 40 bullets in my 20 magazine.
I think Count might have been there. Yes, Count was. He recalls the. Vaguely recall a meeting. This is what happens when I just haven't been on the fucking showcase for 3 fucking months.
Don't worry about it. It's better to be on the showcase for almost, 1 year not, and then have something decent and constantly
Well, no. The
not
reason
improving.
is because I want to ask if the people who heard last time if this is an improvement.
Well, I will hear it the first time, so
Yeah.
I will
That's
say if it's an
useful as well.
improvement. Yeah, exactly.
It's just useful information if I can get that down, because I'll explain what changed later.
Very well.
Well, that was one thing they were arguing about. Otherwise, I shall begin.
Good luck.
Ordenrand sighed as he pinched the bridge of his nose. Face of the dissenters, coordinator of the squad units, member of the council for over a century. And he was having to wait for his subordinates to show on time for a meeting. As if waiting for his colleagues wasn't bad enough. At least most had arrived early. To his side in the darkened conference room stood Commander Anderson, straight-backed and stern-faced, arm crossed as he watched him. His blue armband looked stretched over his jacket, and Ordenrand could see him occasionally fingering it, reminding himself it was there. The reason for that reminder stood across from him on the other side of the circular hologram projector, standing in a long, encompassing white coat with his hands in his pockets. Lieutenant William Silendine, lieutenant by choice, having rejected any further promotions. Not unheard of, especially considering his specialty and focus on hosts. Ordenrand always felt he'd be more comfortable with Vanisher's people. But it does cause tension when one of your subordinates could have reached your rank before you. And from what he'd gathered, Silendine didn't make things any smoother. His presence in a meeting otherwise filled with commanders wouldn't help matters, but Ordenrand had found his insight into host's tactical use to rival his own, so he gave the lieutenant a lot of leeway. At the moment, he just stared out into nothing, his eyes still focused but never moving. It was almost disturbing. Ripping his eyes away from him, Ordenrand focused on the other 2 commanders present. Commander Omra Korin, a half-Phillies with macky eyes and teeth, a combination most found unsettling to look at, was commander of Outlier Squad and the most formally dressed of the 4, wearing a black outfit that very closely matched Ordenrand's own. The scowl on his face reflected Ordenrand's mood. Korin had been the earliest to arrive and had little patience for any lackness, especially from colleagues. Next to him was the commander of Divine Squad, Misa Selman. Dressed casually with a loose flowing white top with wide sleeves, her expression was that of very carefully placed passivity. But Ordenrand didn't need to read her emotions to know there was a storm under there. Former royal family member, she was always tense during briefings, and this one would require bringing her past back to the forefront. In more ways than one. The space next to her should have been filled by Commander Chaos, the last of the commanders to be in attendance. Instead, 20 standard minutes later, and they were still waiting. Not that he hadn't expected to be kept waiting. There was one other who Ordenrand required to be there, and he doubted, correctly, that Q had much discipline to arrive at the given time. He'd had to contact someone to send him on his way. He did, however, expect more from his commanders, especially one of his most acclaimed. And after he made clear that she was a dreadnought flying in a spaceport. The doors opened up and Orderan narrows his eyes as both of his late attendees arrived. Waiting for both to approach the light of the hologram projector, he saw that Commander Chelsea's eyes were drooping, her hair wet and tangled after what seemed like a hasty wash, and she wouldn't look up to meet any of their gazes. A quick glance at her outfit, a black jacket that didn't quite reach her waist over a dark gray top, had a glaring absence. Commander Chels, this is an official briefing on your squad's assignments from your coordinator, Ordenran said loudly, keeping his tone level. Where is your commander's armband? Reflexively reaching for where her armband would normally be before stopping herself, she stood straight and said, I forgot to wear it. She winced as she admitted it, struggling to keep her face neutral. Perhaps if you forgot to wear it, you shouldn't have it. There are plenty others who would readily don it with pride. You're lucky I haven't done so already, yet it seems my decision not to isn't fully appreciated. Charles stiffened and was about to say something when Anderson raised a hand. Motioning for them to speak privately, telepathically, Ordenran created a link between them. You have something to add to this, Commander? Pursing his lips, Anderson said tentatively, I just wanted to inform you that the reason she was late was Commander Charles was in the rooms we gave her, and while I didn't hear anything, I could feel grief. I believe she was crying for her squad. Ordenran raised an eyebrow at the one facing away from everyone else. Commander, I am not an idiot. I am well aware that she is in mourning. We do note a grieving period for a squad when they lose a valued member, much less the whole squad, and she's only had a few days. Anderson's face flushed. Right. Which, regardless, does not excuse her tardiness. I'm about to entrust her with an important assignment, and if I cannot count on her to show up to a meeting on time, I am certainly not giving her the command of another squad that she may yet again lead to their deaths. Your concern for her is noted, but unnecessary. Understood, sir. Anderson had gone rigid, trying not to outwardly reveal the talking down he'd received to everyone around him, though his face was still red. Ordenran cut the link and turned to Commander Charles, because despite Anderson's concerns, he wasn't going to demote her from commander for this, not after deciding to excuse her misguided and reckless efforts on Grand Minor. But that didn't mean he wouldn't take her off the operations he had planned if she proved unreliable. In a perfect world, she wouldn't need to command a squad so soon after her last, but he simply didn't have other options. Samantha Charles, I am willing to look over this oversight, but I want you to tell me now, do you believe you can fulfill your duties, or do you require a grace period to recover from your recent losses? You will not be penalized if you decide you require time. Charles audibly swallowed. No, Preeminent, I assure you, this will not happen again. It better not. He turned to Q. And you? What's your excuse for tardiness? Q feigned shock. I was looking for a decent outfit in your lost and found. At least I hope that's what that room was. I found better clothing among the homeless. Ordenan raised an eyebrow. Q was wearing a red shirt and denim jeans, fairly common clothes in some places. This is a military base, not a fashion exhibition, Anderson said gruffly. I can tell, Q said with a large wave toward them. Seriously, people complain I wear too much black. Like half you are wearing black, the other white, and you're hardly much better. Your coat looks... Ordenran coughed, cutting Q off. He definitely liked the sound of his own voice too much. Q, you were asked here to give us your knowledge on... You were not asked here to give us your knowledge on fashion. No, we're here about my old clothes, yes? About your confiscated gear, yes. As agreed, we shall recover your gear before they self-destruct, which I'll be entrusting to Commander Chels. Q's smile finally dropped. That, and you may find this surprising, does not greatly reassure me. Well, I assure you, she is one of the most capable commanders I could have assigned this to. Chels raised an uncertain hand. While I thank you for the vote of confidence, Preeminent, you haven't yet assigned anyone to Shadow Squad, and depending how soon this self-destruct occurs, under 4 standard days, Q blurted out. Charles winced, either from the interruption or the short time frame, or Rand wasn't sure. There isn't much time for me to get acquainted with any squad you assign me. You won't have that time, he told her. And to answer your previous statement, Shadow Squad will not be receiving new members. Everyone's eyebrows shot up, except Q's and Celandine's, and Charles shouted, "What?" A look of despair crossed her face. But a squad hasn't been disbanded in decades! What am I commander of? I thought... Orderman put a light blanket of calm over Charles until her breathing returned to normal. Shadow Squad, Orderman put in as she was taking a breath, is not being disbanded. The council has merely decided it would simply be too much effort to resupply Shadow Squad so soon before the assassination, and that it would be more prudent to wait until after. For my successor, of course. Corin let out a curse. You cannot tell me they won't even allow us what we should have. Being down an entire squad. We're barely being afforded 10 squads worth for the ground team already. What more could they want? They would send Preeminent on his own if they could, Anderson grumbled loudly enough for everyone to hear. I'm sure they would, but regardless, it is a restriction we have to work with now. Damn them. I have brought you all here because these operations are vital for preparation for the upcoming assassination, and if we wish to have any chance at success, then they will not be assigned to your squads, but the teams made up from your squads. That will be who you're commanding, Commander Charles, from whoever their squads we choose for your operation. And getting Q's old clothes helps us how? Anderson retorted. Besides making me match how the rest of you dress, if more fashionably, my gear is better than anything you guys have in your entire arsenal. Q chuckled. I'm more dangerous than any damn host when properly dressed. They're right when they say clothes really do make the man. Anderson looked to Ordenrand, who nodded. The technology he possesses, if even half of what I've heard is true, are indeed impressive. And in return, Ordenrand put in a slightly different tone, Q will be providing his knowledge on Latician shipyards, which is the second assignment I will be speaking of. The Council, in their wisdom, has also decreed that we will not be provided the cloaking shields we already have, and so we will need to acquire cloaking shields of our own, specifically those capable of cloaking a cruiser or larger. Corin scowled. And you can get us this, he asked Q. Q grinned. Well, of course. My half-witted brother hasn't changed that much from my time running Latician shipyards. Get me my gear, and I can give you a location I know will have cloaking shields. It's out of the way, and the schedule they should be following, so you can attack when they have made the ships you'll be using to carry them off. Jeffrey nodded, appeased, and even Corin looked happy from that. And the third operation, Charles asked? Ordenrand pressed a button on the hologram projector. The third, and most vital, operation is a kidnapping. Q made an excited noise, grinning in contrast to everyone's deep inhale, apprehensive. We need someone inside the royal gathering, disguise, and this means taking one of the guests' place. And unfortunately, an opportunity has risen that works quite well for us. Ordenrand waved to the two holographic figures he put up. The first on the right, a Maquis with purple skin and short orange hair, wearing a suit with one sleeve. The other... Fuck. Sorry, someone pinged me and distracted me. Wearing a suit with one sleeve, the other arm covered in 4 metal bands, a fashion staple for the royal families, and the other, a Maquis with skin as orange as the other's hair, wearing a tight blue dress that glittered with hair tendrils long enough to reach the middle of her back, but jeweled so heavily you couldn't see the orange skin underneath. Another royal family staple. Joseph and Kathleen Collins, the head of the Collins royal family, and his daughter. Everyone's eyebrows shot up or gave him a curious sideways glance. Yes, I know there's been quite a lot of talk surrounding them and the possibility of their going under, but that is not why they were chosen. Joseph and Kathleen Collins both are currently on leave from Callan Prime, likely wanting to escape the pressures they are facing there from the Laticians and Allans, on Barcelon 3. Q hacked a harsh laugh. That's certainly a place to take a leave to. Permanent night, yet warm as a sauna, with more clubs and lights than you could ever want. Perfect place to disappear for a while, too, with the right arrangements. He started giggling as he seemed to recall something. Misa's face pinched, the first bit of expression she'd made the entire meeting. Yes, I think we're all aware of Barcelon's reputation as a party planet. He spat out those words with distaste. and a festering pest nest. Authorities are especially aggressive there, so whoever we choose for the operation will need to be able to keep a low cover. You said we're kidnapping the Collins? Salmon spoke up. I'm guessing there's a bit more than just snatching the two? Ordenrand inclined his head. Yes, there's more to it, thank you. You will not just be taking 2 kidnappees, but leaving 2 of our members disguised there as them in their place, while we prepare 2 suitable replacements that will hold up under the scrutiny of the royal families. And Mirage. So, Halloran is a must then, Salmon said in a musing tone. The rest of my squad would be out, though. Neither Elin nor Alianda are terribly great at being quiet. My thoughts exactly, Ordenrand agreed. I thought we'd assign Nick, Arsan, and Deviv to this. Anderson perked up. All 3 of them? I thought we agreed it was best to keep them apart with their history. Under normal circumstances, I think that's best, yes, but they work well together and know each other's capabilities very well. And whatever behaviors they might engage in will be mild in comparison to what happens in Barcelona, so it'll hardly raise an eyebrow. Anderson frowned, clearly uncertain. Deviv has contacts from his ex-dissenter informant days that will be vital in getting in, Ordenrand explained. Arsan should be able to help getting through the security quietly, and Nick is familiar with places like where you're going from his ex-mercenary days. They are a perfect fit for the objective. Yes, that's true, Anderson said slowly. I just don't think it's a good idea having all 3 together, considering their history. Ordenrand gave Anderson a flat look. We're as much fugitives as they are, Anderson. They were fugitives before joining, and only joined because they were already fugitives, Anderson countered. Do you have an official complaint you'd like to lay on Nick? Anderson pressed his lips together and shook his head. Ordenrand turned to Corin. What of Deviv and Arsan, Commander Corin? Anything you'd like to say about them? Corin scoffed. They're an unruly duo who I constantly have to reprimand, but I have no complaints. Then it's settled. Ordenrand turned to Anderson. The 3 will be assigned to the operation together. Anderson bowed his head. Ordenrand turned to Celandine. Input, Lieutenant? I suggest we assign Uriel and Cyril on this. Their abilities are the sort that can help the team escape notice. Uriel is injured, Anderson reminded him, a touch harder than necessary. Celandine raised an eyebrow. Halloran is a part matter host capable of shaping matter, and has a skill set to heal the injury. She could heal Uriel on the way and still have time aplenty for her sulking. Anderson's face reddened. Right. Coughing into his fist, he continued. Well, I think 6 members will more than suffice, especially with half hosts. Q's expression soured at that. How do we plan to smuggle the team in? I'll be having Carol Revens fly them to the rendezvous with a freighter that will smuggle them in, and they will have a very particular time window to take that freighter out again. The details have already been worked out and will be provided to the team. Anderson nodded. Then that leaves us with... He frowned. 5 between 2 teams, 10 if we include those in here, Corin said, scowling. This is why we need 4 squads. Ordenrand raised a placating hand. Not necessarily. The Lassian ship raid will be done after the other 2 have completed, and Q has actually offered a solution to the low numbers we have for this. The surprise on everyone's faces was evident as they turned to Q. For his part, Q was smiling smugly at their shocked reactions. What? Messing with my brother is literally what I'm known for. As your leader made clear, you don't have the numbers for a raid if you're just going to use 4, or rather 3, squads. So as a show of gratitude for your assistance in returning my belongings, and making sure you're alive for your belongings, Anderson put in, which got a smile out of Corin. Q rolled his eyes and made a perfunctory wave with his hand. Yes, saving me so I could be slaughtered with the rest of you as we attempt to kill a god. How magnanimous of you to do so. As I was saying, when Perion told me of what he intended, I offered to get the Space Benders to help you in a joint effort. Corin's eyes narrowed. Space Benders don't work with the Dissenters. They're as willing to shoot at us as when they were part of the Navy, Anderson grumbled. Preeminent already tried talking with them and got chased away. Yes, our dear Commodore doesn't wish to associate with you, but I have my charms working for me. He waggled his eyebrows, and the commanders rolled their eyes, even Selman, who had been struggling to keep her face passive with the occasional twitch. I'll talk with her and get her around to the idea. That way, you have the best ship hijackers helping you get your cloaking shields. Everyone wins. He spread his arms, expectant. Don't expect congratulations until you actually convince her, Anderson said dryly. I highly doubt you can convince anyone to do anything besides shoot you. Q, unfazed, brought in his grin. I see haircut doubts my abilities. I'll be sure to enjoy your expression when I get her here. Before Anderson could make a retort, Orden Rand reminded Q, just don't let anything out that we don't want getting out, or bargain anything we're not willing to give. Q inclined his head. I am a practiced negotiator. I understand the drill. Good. Charles, since the members for the kidnapping team have been chosen for you, you'll be receiving Eland and Alianda from Divine Squad, and TS, Vic, and Eladia from Outlier Squad for your team. Careful with Eland, Selman advised. His head is as hot as his hair, and Alianda is a grouch on her best days. Anderson was frowning and made an uncertain hum before speaking up. Commander Chels is normally assigned with covert operations. None of the members she's been assigned with are known for being covert. The primary objective is to reclaim as much of Q's gear as possible. Being unnoticed, while preferred, is secondary to that. Q grinned at that, pleased. I trust Commander Charles is to work with who she's been provided with. If anyone could do a covert mission with those bunch, it'll be her. Though he sincerely doubted even she would be able. Divine and Outlier squads weren't considered covert for a reason. Still, Charles straightened at the praise and bowed her head. Anderson nodded. Then who will be commanding the kidnapping? Orden Rand internally grimaced. That was not going to be easy to answer. You and Commander Corrin will be remaining with me to help with planning and coordinating smaller squads of less vital preparations. I've also chosen you to be the replacement for Joseph Collins during the gathering. He's an empath as well, which should help your disguise. I'll be having Lieutenant Cylindine tutor you along with the triple host girl on how to act your roles. Commander Selman, you'll be sharing that responsibility with Cylindine on tutoring the triple host to act properly. I believe you knew Kathleen Collins during your royal family days? Selman stiffened as everyone looked toward her, as she always did when her past was brought up, as expressionless and as motionless as a hologram. Of equal interest was Q's reaction, who had frowned as he turned and seemed to really see Selman for the first time. His eyes wide and intense, but he otherwise kept quiet, which was an unexpected relief. I knew Kathleen when she was much younger, Selman said formally, appearing calm. I won't be of much help beyond how anyone in a position is expected to act. That will have to suffice. Card and Anderson were exchanging looks, and both turned to him with suspicious glares. Then who is commanding the operation if not us? Considering dampening their emotions before revealing, Orden Rand discarded the notion and simply forced it out. I have decided to give Vampra charge over the operation. Anderson's eyes widened as he seemed too shocked to respond, his eyebrows reaching his hairline, while Corrin hissed a lengthy oath. Selman looked outraged, mouth ajar as she looked at him, almost offended, and Chalice might have paled had her skin been human. Cylindine barely reacted, besides raising an eyebrow. Q, meanwhile, had whipped his head away from Selman and was spluttering. I'm sorry, Vampra. He finally managed to get out. If Orden Rand thought he was surprised to see Selman, he was downright flabbergasted to hear that name, his eyes darting between all of them. Since when did Vampra become a part of this, and since when was she one of you? She is not one of us, Corrin bit out. Orden thought he even saw him move to spit before stopping himself. Having an angel of death's number says otherwise, Q snarled. Anyone going to answer me? He turned to Orden Rand with challenge in his eyes. Orden Rand frowned. While he hadn't expected Q to react well to the news, there was something else about his reaction. He seemed expectant. It hit him a moment later. Rest assured, this is a recent development, Q. Not long after your capture, in fact. Q narrowed his eyes, still doubtful. So you're telling me in the maybe 6 days since my capture, Vampire proceeded to betray the sources themselves and completely flip her coat after 600 years. He got some half mumbles of agreement, a sentiment shared with all his commanders, and Q started to calm down as the other's reaction seemed to convince him he wasn't being dealt with a false set of cards. Wait, seriously, this all happened in the 6 days after my capture. He threw his hands up. She couldn't go all rogue before putting me in a cell. Corin just shrugged, and Q groaned as he put a hand to his head and started grumbling to himself, making Corin chuckle. Anderson was less amused. You're letting the whole operation? Voice started quietly before raising into a shout at the end. Yes, he replied calmly. Vampire's experience with commanding host, which I knew this operation would have a need of. She is capable of stealth, if not normally how she was deployed. She's an angel, Anderson cried. You're entrusting the success of the assassination to someone who refuses to even join us, someone whose sole purpose not a few days ago included killing all of us. Do you trust me? The room went silent. Yes, Anderson finally said. Corin nodded in agreement, followed by Chalice and then Selman. I don't trust any of you, Q put in. Just thought I'd put that out there since it was asked. Ordenran silently sighed. I'm certain I speak for all of us when I say the feeling is mutual, Q. As for the rest of you, if you trust me, then trust I do not make this decision lightly, and I see it as the best path to accomplishing what we've been set out to do. I understand your misgivings, and I don't ask you to trust Vampra, but I do expect you to trust me and do as I say. Same goes for your squads. Are we clear? Clear, Preeminent, Chal said firmly. Corin grunted but voiced agreement, and Selman seemed distracted when giving hers, but was no longer glaring. Anderson, Ordenran prodded. Anderson was working his jaw, arms crossed tightly. That armband was about to tear. I don't like this. I don't like having my squad in her clutches. But I'm behind you. Ordenran nodded. Then I believe the meeting is concluded. Details will be sent to you to inform your squad of their new assignments. Dismissed. The commanders filed out, Anderson and Chalice walking together, though Ordenran suspected for other reasons besides being close acquaintances. Q rushed out, not saying a word, looking very unsettled. He's going to have Q watch more closely. Selman waited until Q was out of sight before leaving in the opposite direction, and hanging back a bit, Celandine turned and looked up as he left. Ordenran tensed, but Celandine continued walking out, and it was too late to do anything. Stopping him would draw too much unwanted attention. Waiting a minute alone in the dark, collecting himself, Ordenran looked up to what he was sure Celandine had spotted before leaving. A small portal, only large enough to stick a finger through, up in the ceiling. Moving the portal down next to him, he increased his size and allowed his eavesdropper in, closing it behind her. And that's the chapter.
That's it?
Nice.
Okay, so, I fucking hate Q. Like, already? His introduction was extremely flamboyant, a bit pretentious, and holy fucking shit, his complaining about the clothes. I'm like, motherfucker, you are a resistance fighter. You do not get this luxury. Although I do like how he also went out of the stream. It was like, yeah, I found better clothes on homeless people. You guys have shit over here. Also, apparently Maki freaking covered themselves in like freaking studs and bejeweled crap now.
Specifically, it's royal family members. That's his fashion for the group.
My god, that freaking... Does anybody remember this stupid Doja Cat thing where she decided to make herself paint herself completely red and cover her entire skin in like little bejeweled studs? Does anybody else remember that? Or even know about it?
I don't know what a
No.
Doja Cat is.
Bruh, it was...
Nope.
Dude, it was like the ugliest shit I have ever seen in my entire goddamn life. I hated it. It's like, Doja Cat is usually a very attractive young lady, but no, she just had to do this. She shaved her head for it. I'm like, why? Why would you do
Charity?
this?
Charity, maybe?
Maybe. It was weird fashion statement, if you ask me.
Most fashion is weird.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, Aspiring. I didn't mean to distract from what you were saying, but I also don't really have any context for what was going on for here. So the context that I have to work off of, you introduced into the chapter, which, from what I understand, a bunch of teams have just came back, yeah, and they are working together to basically lay siege to Mirage's palace.
It's basically explaining the meeting for that, yeah, where they're like, okay, these are things we need to do before our climax.
Yeah,
I do like the humor in it. It was great.
Yeah.
It felt very lively.
on one hand, I fucking hate Q, but on the other hand, his sass is kind of welcomed in a sense. It's like he's taking a piss out of it, and I'm like, yeah, we don't need to take everything too seriously. It's like,
Yeah,
have some sense of humor.
He's meant to be an asshole. This is very intentional.
Yeah,
actually had
almost as much of an asshole as god damn it, I am blanking on her name. We had what was god damn, what was the name of the bitch Maki, the yellow one? Uriel, yes. God damn it. Why did you have to name them Serial and Uriel?
Because that was the name of the fucking angels, and it was like, okay, what's a light angel and a dark angel? I'll just name them after that.
I am super serial, mate. No.
Oh,
Yeah,
trust
bro,
me,
it's
having.
Yes, exactly.
Having your name
No.
be
I mean
basically-
Lyrial. What? Lyrial? No, I'm super serial about it, man. It was Lyrial.
Having her name be part of the word like serial code is come up occasionally.
What did you have for dinner? I had cereal. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, serial killer.
Man, imagine someone being like, "What did you have for breakfast?" And be like, "I had cereal." Oh, you mean like the food, right? Seriously,
Right?
intense.
Oh fuck! No,
you mean
no,
like the
no,
food,
no,
right?
No.
Disturbed face
Fuck.
showing up.
I am so glad I have no relationship planned for her. Because otherwise I'd be tempted to make the joke.
Oh boy, she's gonna be dying. Anyway.
I could technically
no.
still do that since there is a character with a crush on her, but fuck.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh, Johan, you thought we meant like she gets killed and eaten. No, I meant like the other way.
No. Oh, you mean D-Way, yes.
Yeah.
Don't you love it when you have like eating your salad and then you hear somebody like, "Hey, did you know cereal got eaten up?" Yeah. I did her last night. I was super serial about it.
Oh goddamn! That's a disgusting image. I am sorry I opened up that
Exactly,
can of worms.
right in front of my salad. Right in front of my salad.
Anyway, yeah. So let's see. Q's reaction to freaking Vampra turning. I will still not be able to forget that her name sounds like a bionicle, but that's my side point. Yeah, that was pretty genuine. And it's also pretty funny, the whole situation. It kind of shines a light as to this absurdity of this whole thing, of the situation that they find themselves in. Even though, yeah, it happened. This is a thing. This actually happened. This super crazy thing that you never thought would actually happen. Well, guess what? It finally did.
Yeah, that scene always came off as potentially humorous. As like, I'm sorry, wait, 6 days after she put me in a cell, she just turned traitor? What the fuck?
Yeah, it's like I go to prison for 6 days, and one of the most powerful agents of the, you still have it named as the Ascending Territories, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. One of their most powerful agents turn on them. It's like that's a ripe WTF moment over there. I still think that name is stupid, by the way.
Well, that escalated
I
quickly.
think it still works for what I'm using.
I know, but it's just I'm not going to let you live that down.
That's fine.
I will never give up fighting.
I still hold ground for that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Q is meant to be an asshole. That's a big part of his character, is he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I actually remember that when I was reading through your stuff. His first chapter is where I left off, and I have not picked up since. I
I
need to
know.
fix that.
Hmm.
Of course you know, because I would have told you about it. Anyway,
But Dunn, how much were you here for, and how much do you remember from the last time I read like the
I think the last 6 minutes or so.
How much is that? I don't know how long I was reading.
I think I came in when they were discussing Vampra being on the team, I think.
Okay. How much do you remember from the last time I read?
Very little, if I'm being perfectly honest.
It's been 3 months. I can't blame you.
Yeah, the pacing. Yeah. Maybe I just
I'm
need
just
to create
trying to.
Maybe I just need to create a group where it's just like rotates groups through the thing rather than just having a free for all. That might help.
yeah, I suppose.
Interesting idea. You'd have to get them to all agree to a particular recurring time, though. That's difficult.
Yeah. I mean, the way that it's set up right now is pretty scattershot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I suppose some more organization wouldn't hurt, particularly as far as continuity is concerned, because some of us are presenting some pretty long stuff, and sometimes we even have to split the material in half, and people will probably forget some minor detail that was actually supposed to become a big thing later on. So
Mm.
I guess it wouldn't something like that, it wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Yeah. You could have a group thing where it's like 2 reoccurring and then 1 new to solve Count's problem that he brings up.
Yeah.
Not sure. That'd be something interesting to think about. But yeah, the reason I want to know if this is better because I legit just fucking redid the chapter because everyone was like, so I didn't. You remember the Talking Heads comment then?
Talking head comment. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay. Let me see if I can narrow this down. Maybe if I have fewer, it'll be better. Because at least I have one character that's different from everyone else in terms of talking, which is Q. Because he just talks like an asshole to everybody.
Yeah. You
And
know
his-
what? It just occurred to me, I have absolutely no idea who the hell this Commander Anderson guy is. Also, why is he... Oh, wait a second.
He's Jeff.
Isn't that the pilot from Titanfall 2? And freaking...
I don't know. Look,
I'm sorry.
He's Jeffrey Anderson. He's the guy. He's the big guy who don't like Will.
Yeah, I remember Jeffrey. I still remember good old-fashioned punchable face Jeffrey.
Yes, he's Anderson. I have Orden Rand refer to them all by last names because they're like commanders / colleagues. Yeah, it's meant to just. I try and do that with different characters, like depending on what name they use, shows how close or how they think about the character. Will refers to Jeff with his first name out of disrespect, while Carol uses his first name, or like not his first name, his nickname, Jeff. Will does it out of disrespect. Carol does it because they're close. Same with Samantha. Jeffrey uses the character's name is Samantha Chouse, which is a Philly's name, but he pronounces it as Samantha Chase, which is a human name. Because they are friends and she prefers that. Just little details I try and slip in there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's gonna... Sounds like some pretty fun stuff to go through when I finally have time for it.
Yeah, I'm giving Gordon Rand a lot more chapters than I realized I would, but that doesn't bother me too much.
Yeah.
So did the voices sound more distinct this time? There were only 5 rather than like 15 I was trying to do.
Whoa, you did 15? Damn.
I was trying to. I didn't have most of them talk much, but I was trying to introduce like 15 characters.
Is it
on
not
various
better, what
Mhm.
what I noticed was that it was actually very how do you say that? It went really well with the flow, the pacing when talking, the story with it, and the conversations went very natural, which means that technically the talking head part didn't occur, in my opinion.
True. What they meant by talking head, for what I remember, is just they couldn't distinguish the voices between the characters,
Ah, I
which
see.
is yeah.
I thought it was more like, all the time people are talking with no other context than just talking,
Yeah.
because that also could be talking head syndrome.
Yeah. I'm well aware of my slight weakness with voice since in my head a lot of my characters have the amorphous. They have a voice, there is no sound. It's just my head imagining them talking. And so that makes them less distinct in my head voice-wise. So I do try to work on that. And yes, thank you, Count. That worked out
Yeah,
better, thankfully.
I
Because I decided I can just introduce them when they're relevant, which will be in the upcoming chapters, right? And all at once.
yeah, that's actually what I did at some point with the Grand Marshals. I tried introducing all 9 of them by name in that one scene, and I also while describing their physical appearance. But I realized that I'm not going to be able to introduce all 9 of these guys over here. So I decided to just focus on the few that were going to be relevant for the conversation and tried to flesh them out. Like the titles that I gave them, for example, I was reading that shit out. Most of that was recent add-ons because I just looked at them like, all right, what's the theme of his core? They're space Arabs, okay. The freaking Hilali Saber then, and shit like that. Oh, this guy's a space Russian. All right, Man of Steel it is.
Yeah. Admittedly, does it
Man
respond to
of Iron.
Count? They're not all being that much fleshed out. They're necessary to the story, and so I wanted to introduce them. But some of them are very tertiary. They're just kind of like They are. It makes sense they're here. They will be here. I just want the reader to be able to know they're here, and not be like, "Who the fuck is this person?" Did you guys understand what they were explaining?
I understood that they were explaining that a team was about to be disbanded. Somebody protested. Also, they wanted to reassign. They also wanted to immediately deploy another team into action, but they were still in the middle of their grieving period because they lost most of their squad. Somebody was being reassigned to another team, and basically the whole entire spiel was just a gigantic freaking mess. Like they're just it's in shambles. They're scrambling together to get a task force to initiate this siege upon this big palace. Which sounds like the setup for them failing miserably and getting wiped out.
Well, you're right about them failing miserably.
You weren't supposed to give that away, Aspiring. That's spoilers.
Yeah, but there's like only 5 people here. Not even 5. It's fine.
I mean, yeah, I guess I may as well just go ahead and spill out the name of my big baddies, what they are, and what the climax looks like.
Look, I say what I say, and don't say what I don't say. You'll see how it goes. You still don't know how it's gonna fail, but yeah. So there was a little bit confusion, I think, maybe with me reading, because you got some parts right, some parts not. I don't know if that means I need to rework that.
I mean, again, I have a literal physical distraction right now.
Okay, I'll take that under advisement and be like, okay, maybe it's not too confusing if you were to read it.
Yeah,
Probably
I mean,
if you read it, you take your time, you will be figure it out quite quickly. So yeah.
Yep.
It doesn't help when some people have like a very sore neck. It's not helping.
Yeah, bro, I woke up super freaking cranky today.
Well, then you need to oil it up. Jeez.
I mean, we
Clearly.
we have a massage chair over here. My old man bought a massage chair for
Oh my god! And
Yeah.
I'm so scared. Damn.
yeah, and I used it. I'm like, okay, let's see if this thing works. I'm like, it didn't work. Then again, what was I
No.
expecting? This should never works. My feet got a better massage than my friggin' neck.
Uh,
Yeah. So, one more little question. Misa, Selman, and Q. Thoughts? I'll ask more specific questions after, but right now, general thoughts on just those two.
Well, I already shared everything that I had to say about Q. He's an asshole. I hate him. But also, I like the fact that he brings some levity to the situation. Like, he is like simultaneously likable and irritable at the same time. I don't know why. I cannot explain it. It's like, I just want to punch him in the face, but I also want him to keep making jokes.
Funnily enough, that is actually like what probably the character that likes him the most feels about him. Is like, you are so fucking annoying, but I also like you for some reason. Hell, that reminds me of how Trip feels about Dunn.
My god. Jesus Christ, man. You have to say it out loud in the middle of the stream.
She's not here. I can say it and I'll be free of all damages.
Yeah?
probably not.
Bet?
I will deny anything you say. But, okay, and...
Problem is, we have
Hmm?
documented evidence.
This is true, but she's busy, so she may not be able to reach here. And I'm the one who normally clips this shit to
God
show
damn
her.
it.
So without me, good luck.
God, well, I can just share this. I can just share her the stream. I can share the stream to her.
It's already passed. Also, she might get annoyed. She's packing. This is a
God damn-
calculated move.
God damn it,
A
I already paid
strategic
her.
move, yes.
Yeah, this was a calculated attack.
I already paid her too. God freaking damn it.
So
Well-
yeah, there isn't much with her, but there's a reason I'm asking about Misa. Anything stand out?
Not really. I actually didn't really even notice the character. Tragic as that may sound.
She does very little in the chapter, but there are three very specific moments where all of her mentions are very specifically about Q. The reason is I'm trying to foreshadow that these two characters are going to have a lot going, because remember, Q is ex-royal family, and she is also ex-royal family.
Oh, Q was a member of a royal family. Wow.
Yes.
No wonder he's such a pretentious cunt.
Yes. His ego has increased since then. It has not decreased. I will say, you do get to see him humbled eventually. Not in this book, but he does get some humbling, which makes the ego grow even more when he finally gets out of it. But, yeah. Basically, trying my best to foreshadow those two, because they're going to have a shit ton of drama.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well,
guess it wasn't free, but
I don't have any more commentary for this.
I would say keep up the good work and continue working on it. Definitely.
Yeah. I
It
definitely look forward
It looks good. It sounds good. Oh, by the way, Trip is here. Surprise!
Oh, hi. Yeah, sorry, Trip. The
What?
bit that I wanted you to see isn't here anymore. We've already gone past it. Aspiring over here informed us that the way that you feel about Dunn apparently is that you want to punch him in the face, but at the same exact time, you wanted to keep making his jokes.
I
Not
said
very
like
sure how. Yes, not very sure how anybody feels about that. I'm just,
Oh, it's
throwing that
true.
And I would
I'm
say
sorry.
this like I am well aware that that is the dynamic. That's why I made the joke. Trip.
Yeah.
I was talking about a character. Wissia said, "Wait, how he felt about one of my characters is I want to punch him in the face, but at the same time I like him a lot. I want him to keep making jokes." And I'm like, that's exactly how another character feels about my character. And then I make the joke that's how you feel about Dunn. Did you understand that?
Oh my god. I just remember something. Jeez.
It was.
You just
it-
basically described a Sundere type. Jeez. I don't like you, Baka. Bum. Headshot.
Oh my god.
That's
You guys all
amazing.
cursed me with this knowledge. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I would never do that.
That he
she
annoys
would
you,
kick
but you
me.
like him regardless.
I might
That's
kick
basically
him in the shit.
Okay. Go away now. You can go away now if you want.
Please do not compare Q to Dunn. Please, for the love of God.
Q.
Oh my god. Q
my
Q to
God.
done. Oh no. Oh no.
Q is not Bratlord, okay? No.
Brett Lord.
Well, Trip, that's going to be hard. You have vertigo, so kicking me is going to be very difficult for you.
Wow. Wow.
The fuck is
Fucking
vertigo?
wow. And
What the
you,
fuck is
and you
vertigo?
guys thought I was
have
the
no
one
idea.
who was gonna have his grave dug.
I have no idea what vertigo means, but
Spinning
They-
that often describes
Her
dizziness.
oh,
Have
you guys
very
never
very
heard the word
easily dizzy.
vertigo?
Got it.
Nope.
She actually has a crystal that's growing in her ear.
Yeah.
Nice.
That screws with her.
Balance.
Yeah, screws with her balance.
Oh,
Definitely kick him now.
I had the first time I ever experienced balance problems was when I had a hole in my fucking ear drum.
Mm.
Well,
That
yeah,
was
that's
no fun.
yeah, that's because your ears double as balancing weights. Essentially, the way that they're designed and shaped is such that your brain can use them as reference to help balance yourself.
Luckily, that was not the one and only problem. The other problem was also that I had a lot of pain at that moment. And I mean,
So,
like, I had to go to the
can-
hospital
is
very
it-
quickly because that was so fucking
So-
painful.
Alrighty. So, shall we?
Yep, now it's Wissia.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe I should have asked you to invite her earlier before I finished reading.
Probably.
Should have made the
Okay.
joke sooner.
Joke's on you. She can just rewatch it.
She ain't
So-
gonna.
She ain't got no time for that.
Unironically.
All right. So before I read this out, I'm going to go ahead and briefly contextualize what's been going on over here. For anybody who has not been following along, so everybody can understand what's happening over here. Essentially, the protagonist, Rosa, is she made something of a mistake. She woke up inside of an underground military facility. Bunch of stuff happens, and she she gets an opportunity to leave and go elsewhere, and she does so in the hopes that maybe the people who, anyway, so she goes along with them, hoping to get some answers as to what the heck is going on and why she's here. But she finds out that she can't go back unless she jumps through a few hoops. So she enlists for the officer corps and decides to become a member of the United Systems Republic's military, so that way they may legally transport her back to her home world. She has gone through extensive training. She has been pushed down the pipeline, so to say, rushed through the process, and has developed a great deal of anxiety as a result. And some people have even begun to speculate that the reason she's getting so far ahead is due to corruption rather than her own merits as a soldier. And this all comes to a head when somebody attempts to murder her. At this point in time, we see, Rosa has been suffering from some extreme distress, and she is currently on break until she has recovered, in which case she'll be allowed to continue on her training. So that brings us to that vacation time in the second half of this chapter, which will be presenting momentarily. All right, and beginning. The skies were clear, bright, and sunny, yet the light couldn't pierce the gloom hovering over Lucia as she trudged down the street, her legs mechanically carrying her forward. Her stride was stilted and stiff. Her shirt had become soggy and muggy hours ago, had become soaked and muggy hours ago, irritating her skin. Yet she dared not open the thick, leathery jacket. Instead, Lucia kept her hands stuffed in her pockets, and her head hung as she kept going forward. Then she paused, a powerful urge overtaking her, and she looked up. The white skyscrapers glistened in the light, with their lush, verdant gardens hanging off the sides. Heli cars lifted and hovered across the air, and shuttles flew beyond the great blue veil and into the vast expanse above. And here she was, stuck here. She felt the chasm in her chest grow, and her eyes dulled and emptied. Lucia? A voice called to her. Terra. She blinked, spotting her a mere meter ahead, glancing back with with her tote bag over her shoulder. She wore a bright white blouse that looked loose and breezy, not trapping the warm air beneath the layers Lucia beneath not trapping the warm air beneath like the layers Lucia wore. She squinted and nudged her head. Come on, it's just ahead. Lucia blinked, then frowned. Right, we were gonna have lunch somewhere, she called, walking up by Terra's side and following her. Her gaze meandered, scanning the lush walkway around her. It was almost like a park, with white flooring, buildings and stands, birds chirping and singing in the trees, and people of different shapes, sizes, and colors. They were smiling, laughing, until they saw her. Their smiles either wiped away from their faces, twisting into frowns, or their noses would wrinkle with disgust. Lucia's lower lip quivered, her eyes watering. So she looked away, focusing ahead when Terra spoke up. There it is! Lucia blinked, squinted. Lucia blinked and squinted. The restaurant's name read Martin's Pizzeria, accompanied by a face of a smiling middle-aged man with a black beard, mustache, and hair. He had a light complexion that made the rosiness of his cheeks pop out. The sign had a retro aesthetic that drew Lucia's eyes and kept her focused on it, even as she and Tara were about to walk through the front door. The interior was dimly lit, with more neon-colored lights running across the walls, and several jackets and shirts framed and strewn about. Lucia squinted, spotting several instruments hung inside, with aggressively lively music playing. Music that gradually began to resonate within. The gloom began to clear as she listened closely, hearing the female lead's fiery and passionate voice as she sang the lyrics. She looked at the jackets again, realizing that band names were embroidered on them. Dios mio, this place is pretty cool. Probably expensive, though. Lucia thought to herself, glancing at Terra, who stood before a desk, speaking with an android. "Excuse me, ma'am." The android opened. "Do you have a reservation?" Terra nodded. "Yeah, it's under the name Lucia." Lucia blinked, shaking her head. "Of course, right this way," it replied, showing them to their table. Lucia followed along, her eyes wandering about the place, seeing drones hovering about, delivering entrees, appetizers, and drinks to the tables. "Right here," the machine said, stopping before a booth. The two sat down, Lucia glancing up at the gunmetal plated automaton as it walked away. She looked back at Terra, who had already pulled out her M card, scrolling through the menu. "You put down a reservation here? For me?" Terra smiled, her eyes starting up to meet hers. "Pfft, yeah. I know you're into this kind of stuff, so I figured you'd like to come here." Lucia melted, her cheeks flushing red. "Oh." Her head sank into her shoulders. "Well, not really. Not exactly into this kind of music. Some of it can be a bit much for me." Tara looked up at her and shrugged. "Eh, fair enough. Guess metal can be a bit pretentious or edgy sometimes." Lucia smirked and pulled out her H card, scrolling through it and next seeing the price listed next to her items. She squinted, feeling a tingling within her stomach. Uh, it sure is expensive, don't you think?" "Don't worry about it. Military's footing the bill for us anyway." With a sigh, Lucia answered back. "Yeah, but still doesn't feel right," she groaned, spotting an item that drew her eye. "Spiciest pizza this side of the galaxy, huh? Okay, let's try it out." Lucia picked out her order, punched them in, and set down her H card. She rested her elbows on the table, her cheeks pressed against her pressed against her hands, and her heavy eyes wandering down. Her mind began to wander, the music and chatter becoming white noise as she blankly stared at the table. Then it crept back in, out of the dark recesses of her mind. The music became more intense and vicious, accompanied by male vocalists. Lucia's breath became heavy as the sound began to conjure the images of the obsidian soldiers. She winced, her body still drenched from the immense warmth trapped beneath the layers she wore. Her throat became dry, and her peripherals became blurred. The heat around her, the wet, soggy feeling, almost felt like... She shuddered, her mind flashing to the ground. The blistering hot Her blistering hot blood splattered across her form, and the stinging of the lacerations, the laughter, and Irene's twisted grin. Her face contorted, her face contorted as she hid it from view. "Lucia!" She jolted, hearing a snap. She looked up, seeing Terra glaring at her. Lucia's face drained, her jaw locking as Terra sat back with a groan. "The fuck's wrong with you? You've been acting weird all week long. You've been a complete shut-in and you haven't even touched your food yet." Lucia blinked, feeling her stomach turn as she looked down at her meal. Her eyes began to water, recalling the images once more. "You know damn well what's wrong, Terra," she whispered, her voice shaky. Terra blinked, frowning when she realized it. She opened her mouth, ready to speak up, but relented, letting the music fill the silence. Lucia's eyes watered and leaked, dripping onto the table below. The cuts, the burns, She still felt them, stinking as though freshly made. She grimaced and looked up at her roommate. I'm going back tomorrow, she explained, watching Tara's eyes widen. Swallowing, she moved her hair out of her face and continued on. I know Malik gave me 3 months off, but I can't stay here anymore. I have to go back. Tara's expression became mortified as she shook her head. Lucia, you can't. Not like this. It hasn't even been a week yet. You need time to heal. Lucia gritted her teeth together. And why do you think I'm hurt in the first place? She growled. I hate it here. Constantly being shoved down a pipeline, people looking at me like a sack of meat, a freak, or she grimaced once more, her nose wrinkled, or people taking one look at me and writing me off as some attention-seeking bitch or something. Tara reclined, her hand still on the table, tapping it. Lucia watched her seal her eyes as she took a deep breath. Yeah, I get it. That sounds bad. Probably just as bad as being called Uruk, Ponker, or even degenerate. Lucia blinked, her brows shutting up. She opened her mouth, but Tara cut her off. And that's before I tell them that I'm actually an Audi. Then they just start calling me sympathizer or a crow fucker. Lucia felt her heart sink, her face paling. Tara, I'm not asking you to apologize, Wiz, she said, interrupting her. I'm just telling you, you're not going through this alone. Lucia deflated, her head hung. Thanks, she muttered with a sigh. Tara picked up her cup, ready to take a drink from it. No problem, Wiz, she said, before taking a sip. She sat over there for a bit, watching her friend, realizing that she wasn't moving, still lost in thought. There's something else, isn't there? With a deep breath, Lucia nodded. Yeah, Malik told me there's someone he'd want me to see. He didn't tell me who, but from the way he talked about him, he sounds like a pretty big deal. Tara's brows narrowed. Really? How big? With a sigh, Lucia rested a cheek on her hand. Like, he's pretty much the guy who's gonna decide whether or not I go back home. Tara's eyes shot open. Fuck. When do you have to meet him? Lucia swallowed, answering back as she began to shake. As soon as I get off my vacation. So, tomorrow. Lucia. Tara scoffed, chuckling. Well, shit. All the more reason to enjoy today, huh? With a smile, Lucia fixed her posture. Yeah, guess so. Tara raised her. Smiling back, Tara raised her cup. Well, to today, I guess. May things finally start looking up for us. Lucia grinned, picking up her glass. Let's, she said, the two tapping their cups with a clink. And I will have to do it. Guys. I'm
Nice.
Good
Well
stuff.
done. Well done. I really
No,
like this.
no, Trip. Not Mario's Pizzeria. Martin's Pizzeria. It's
I do like.
actually it's an elaborate
Mamma
Doom
mia, Papa
reference.
Pizza.
Because in the game, there's a little Easter egg called Marty's Pizzeria, and you can just find it like strewn about in random parts of the UAC facility. So I thought it'd be, hey, that's a pretty cool little nod to Doom. So I thought I'd put that in over there.
This is cool.
And I, of
I do
course,
like
had
the character writing on this.
Mm-hmm.
really.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
quite.
she said crow screwer.
It was nice to follow. That's for sure.
All right, that's
But it's
quite
getting
nice
a
to
little
hear.
bit late for my head, so I might not be able to respond too correctly.
Yeah. Sorry about the repeated description trip. This shit was cobbled together literally just before the stream started.
Well, on the plus side, it
Why?
went actually pretty well.
Cause I got busy last night. Parents told me that we were going over to an event, some sort of fundraiser, and also they wanted me to chat with this lady, and that was basically how I spent my night. I wanted to work on this some more, but it was like friggin' 12 o'clock. It was pretty much midnight. I'm like, okay, I can't stay up any longer. I have to go to sleep. I was already running on 6 hours of sleep as it is, so yeah, no.
Anyway, you did a good job.
Alright.
Hmm.
So yeah, this obviously there wasn't much plot progression over here outside of establishing that Lucia is going to be going back to training literally the next day, and that she's going to be meeting somebody important. But yeah, I guess the real heart of this is the world building and the characterization. So, any thoughts on how I am portraying Rosa handling the events of the previous chapters?
I think that you're doing a good job. It's a lot more understated, I guess, and it works really well.
All right. Um,
I think you did. I think you did do the references right. So yeah.
okay. Yeah, because I was also somewhat worried that people may have forgotten about the obsidian and gold trimmed soldiers that haunt her nightmares. So, kind of had to slip in some sort of reference to them. It's like, hey, audience, don't forget about these guys. They're
But
important.
but that is good. When you have a reference towards something again that is actually occurring again, it keeps the audience on toe. Therefore, the audience will want to know more about them, and eventually, you will be able to tell them about it. It's like a little foretelling of the info dump that's coming to come ahead.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Okay. Any anyone's thoughts on Terra and Rosa's interaction over here?
I think it worked pretty well. I like their dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about their dynamic? Did you like?
I think it's just that it's natural seeming. It doesn't seem forced or stir something that I guess like their bonding over mutual trauma. I think was very well done, or at least of mutual discrimination. I guess you could call it.
Yeah. Um, that because that was something that was like an older concept that I had. Well, old in the sense that it's a few weeks now. I had the idea and I wrote it down on the notes, like on my phone. So I drafted out a conversation.
Hmm.
I felt that it was that since Terra and Rosa are both outsiders in regards to the USR, I figured that yeah they would neither one of them would very much like it over here.
Hmm.
Aspiring, you haven't said anything. Is there anything you would like to comment on?
I'm getting a link to help you. Give me a sec. So, I do know the struggle with trying to differentiate expressions and stuff, and so here I will DM it to you and also put it in chat. A link with is just a fucking list of a bunch of them.
Okay.
I mean, to be fair, aspiring.
Of a bunch of them.
And there's Valerian.
Hey,
Hello.
what's up?
Oh, hello, Count.
Can I stop hearing myself, please?
Not
Never.
much.
My God.
Not much. Ugh. Yep. Sorry, I couldn't really get on earlier, and I can't stay very long because I'm going to take a walk. So if I read anything, it'll have to be fairly brief.
Yeah, I just saw that you were in there, and if you wanted to come on, I was totally happy for you to come.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I wonder what to do about the time thing, because the time that's on Sunday that's good for you is not good for me. So it's a little awkward. It's a little awkward because you're the host and you're going to church and stuff, so that's important. So
Yeah.
not quite sure if we better do it every day or what.
You know,
Yeah.
I have
the what?
thought to mention you could consider doing an alternation between Wednesday and Sunday showcases.
The problem is a lot of people work.
Yes, but for some it might also work better, which is why I'm saying alternate as needed.
Yeah, alternate.
Because
Like
I can
people
also leave because some people might also be more available for streams on Sunday that you'd want to do than a Wednesday. Basically, it might be a good idea to be more flexible on that because it could make things easier in the long run.
yeah.
It's just
Okay.
that these times is like, all right, the first amount of hour it's all fine, but the second hour it's like, look at that, it's already 12 o'clock, and now it's already reaching around 1:30. I see.
Yeah, time zone people might prefer a Wednesday because it'll be late at night for them. And
He
you can do
means
it earlier.
AM, by the way.
Yeah, at nighttime. It's
Yeah.
already 00.17.
Yeah, he's
Alright.
like 6 hours ahead of me, which means he's 8 hours ahead of you.
Yeah.
all right.
I am from the future.
Valerian.
You
Quick,
might want to maybe
quick
just
question.
ask. What?
Quick question, Valerian. Did you get that what I just presented? Were you Oh, hey, what's up, Axela? Yeah. So far it was Johan, aspiring, and then me. I just finished up presenting.
You asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, fairly straightforward. Yes.
Don't worry, you've missed nothing.
Yeah, you miss absolutely nothing. Like, I hate to break it to you, Axela, but I think this might have been my worst one. Everybody over here absolutely panned it. I'm extremely embarrassed. I will never come back on.
Yes,
Nobody even knows what happened with mine.
It was an abomination on the face of the earth that must be annihilated and destroyed.
Yes,
Don't you worry.
absolutely. Like, this whole story is literally can literally just be summarized as Rosa's tits. There, that's the story.
Well, that's the deeper meaning of it, right?
Indeed.
Totally, that's totally the deeper meaning of it.
True. Are you suggesting done co-host with someone and basically have another person run half the showcases?
Well, the good thing is mine was also not the best. You're missing so much, like images and all that stuff. It's like, yes. So the
It was
conversations
lively,
won't
though.
work properly. But you could sum it up as a big giant purple rhino crashed into a building, and now the girls finally have a green crystal.
Johan, I was cracking some jokes. Don't worry.
Hey, purple rhinos are cool.
Unironically, though, nobody seems to follow mines anymore. Nobody
I-
remembers what came before.
aspiring. I remember your stuff.
You
I
more than
follow
everyone else. Ask
along. I mean,
Trip, Dunn, Count, or Johan what the fuck my story is about, and they will not be able to
Okay,
say
it's
shit.
about
I
a
don't even know
girl
if
that
that's
is in the
enough.
military. It's about a girl in the military that has been ordered by a dude, I believe, that she needs to be training up, and is put into the front line of the thing, and therefore she had some experiences with some bad guys, and now she's back again, back to more training, and well, she has PTSD.
Yeah.
There you go.
Johan, you basically also summarized what the premise of what I'm presenting.
Well, there's also
There's a-
Vampra.
It's more than I thought you would remember.
Yeah.
Even if it's a bit-
Well, Vampra, she is like has these special powers, and she consumes souls, and she changed her mind and decided to protect the rebels or something, as opposed to hunting them down or something like that.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes.
I'd like to.
That sounds
You
about
do
right.
actually remember more than I thought you would.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Anyway,
Damn.
me and Aspiring crack jokes with each other about our respective stories, because the opening segments for both of our stories is almost basically the same in a sense. I mean, we both share a similar premise, and I just find that absolutely hilarious. Of course,
So it's all about.
it's unfair to say that, considering that he obviously has a very, very different execution and take on it, as opposed to what I'm doing. But yeah, it's funny the little correlations that we share.
So technically, you're both stories about Boop McKenzie every single time you open the paragraph, and then you're going to be
Yes,
explaining how
yes.
Boops McKenzie is doing their shit.
Yes. Both of my story and his story is about Rosa and Triple's tits, respectively.
Oh,
There.
oh
You
yes.
realize how
very
wrong
Big
that
boobs,
sounds
McKenzie.
when I've. You realize how wrong that sounds for my character, right? She's
What
considered
about
a kid.
Vampra?
basically.
I know. It was a joke.
What about
Yes, but
Vampra?
it sounds
Is she-
so wrong. Yes, Vampire has a decent rack, okay?
Oh, Triple D, baby.
You could even have that person just record them and upload them to YouTube as a premiere, says the trippy lady, the brightness
Well.
lady. She's been promoted.
Fucking hell! I
So
have
when are
never-
they gonna be doing their fans only streams? By the way.
I have never fucking considered Trip's name and my character Triple's name. And fuck.
Ah yes, the triplets have arrived. I see.
My God.
I'm never gonna get that
Hey.
out of my. And here's the thing: I have fucking. I already have like a bit of her name by accident. in my
Well,
story, but-
at least you have some clarity in it. So that's what you got running.
So it's triple spelled with a Y, then, is it? TRYPLE.
Yeah, to address Axel's point, I think me and Aspiring understand that pretty clearly. And like I said, it's kind of sort of a similar premise, but we execute it in wildly different ways. So even though I joke about it, it is ultimately an unfair comparison.
Yeah, our stories are not the same at all technically if you read them, but if you boil it down to their base components, it's like, okay,
Yeah,
you guys were like given a prompt and then went in two completely different directions.
yeah, basically. Girl was found on alien planet without any memories, and she has incredible powers. And military organization finds her.
And they train
Go.
her.
But anyway,
And they're fall.
speaking of which, if anybody still remembers what I presented at this point, is there any other commentary?
No.
Well, you did the
like-
characterizations correctly, so it's all fine. There are no incorrect conversations, so
Mhm.
And for the time you had to prep it, it's very good. I couldn't do that. No way. No, Jose. I would not be able to continue. I would not be able to do in 2 days immediately everything fixed. That's not how I work.
All right, and wait, any thoughts on the world building over here?
Well, you
Like-
could feel it. You could feel it in the text itself, so it's fine.
military's free. That makes sense, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It's a
Yeah.
free country. You just
Yeah,
have to pay with your soul.
That was actually something that I was thinking about because I realized that. Wait a second. How the hell do Rosa and Terra afford anything? They don't have any jobs. They're just in military training. And I figured that the best explanation would be, well, the government is paying for it.
You know that in the Netherlands that is
government-
actually a thing?
Yeah, because the government is invested in these two women
Yes.
succeeding. So yeah, hold on.
It's a good stock. Good investment. Buy now.
I like when that happens.
Only things will go up. Don't you worry. We totally not gonna rock pull you.
Yes, no comment.
Don't you love using your own imagination? Yes, it's great. I
Nope.
love my imagination, especially when I'm playing D&D or anything else. In that consideration, it helps a
My
lot.
imagination.
Anyway, and back. Also, Axela, I wanted to have my main protagonist be an attractive woman. That because the whole thing is that
He's
I
horny.
just no, I don't see that a lot in media at all. Like always, the
Really?
main protagonist has to have some extremely bland and samey look to them, and I'm like, you know what? Let's shake it up. Let's actually make a protagonist that doesn't fit into the mold. Let's give her an appearance that's different for one.
Yeah, now I remember it again when you said it the first time. I want her to be like Lara Croft, like this hot chick that everybody likes.
I'm
She's not
just
like Lara
thinking
Croft
most
at
main
all.
female characters tend to
Yeah, but
be
she's
like
hot,
fucking
so
supermodels.
therefore.
Wait, what was that inspiring?
I was just thinking most main female characters tend to be fucking supermodels.
That's actually very accurate.
Yeah, they
Yeah, it's
tend
like
to be
that's the
attractive.
point. When they hire them, they're like half the time they're looking for the most attractive people more than the acting.
You're not looking for a Karen, You're not gonna
Yeah.
be asking
Also-
their manager.
Also, I think Trip over here summarized it pretty well.
She's the hot chick everyone dislikes. You mean that one?
Yeah. Also, the fact that everybody's familiar with the phrase "the price of beauty," but what the heck even is the price of beauty? What is that anyway? And the price is people are extremely judgmental. People are cruel, and so people would take a look at her and assume that she gets off easy or that she's incompetent in some way, shape, or form. But she's not. The whole point that I'm trying to go for is that she is a person in that people over here are extremely shallow. They aren't judging her based off of her merits, and that causes some serious emotional damage for her.
I always say, beauty has a price. I was always thinking, well, the last time I was playing D&D, the beauty of being good looking was actually your firstborn child. But okay,
God damn it, Trip.
at least she has pink hair and isn't
Que-
blonde. Oh, damn!
Question. Did Terra give you shit for that ever? The pink hair?
I don't think anybody ever gave me shit for giving her pink hair.
I don't remember. She has pink hair. I don't
Okay.
remember that part.
She does have pink hair. That I can remember since it's his PFP pretty much half the time. But
Yeah.
just since he isn't here, fuck you, Tarek. You fucking gave me shit for having characters with different colored hair, you little shit.
But
The bigger question is it eatable? Is it edible? That pink hair? Is it cotton candy hair?
Is it cereal?
Ah, yeah, that's a good one.
No comment.
But yeah, that was basically the intention behind Rose's appearance, is that I wanted to have a main protagonist who sticks out, who looks unique, who looks and feels different from the norm.
And
And I
who
also
is
wanted
hot.
to also explore different ideas and a different kind of struggle, a different kind of
Oh,
conflict.
I think you're
And,
doing a good job at that.
and who is hot.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. She's hot. No,
Sorry.
and that's literally her internal body temperature is twice that of a normal human.
Oh, right. She burns stuff, doesn't she?
Yeah, she burns
She
stuff
has to
whenever she
wear
gets
scant
extremely
clothes, so
angry.
she doesn't. She needs to wear scant clothes to not,
I mean, that
you know,
was
get a
yeah.
heat stroke.
Yeah, that was actually something that I wanted to show, because this was an opportunity for me to showcase what happens if she puts on too many layers, and that's why I made mention that her skin felt irritated because she has too many layers on and she's constantly sweating.
Can she get blisters from that?
Possibly.
And then
If
the
you
clothes all
constantly-
burn off.
Also,
If you're constantly
How-
sweating, you will get
I'm not
blisters.
trying to think. I'm trying to think of ways that can be used, because that is like a very potential weak point for a character. When layer too much, they die. Yeah,
You
don't-
could technically, in a hot climate, you would be very screwed.
Yeah, I was thinking if you get her in like a room or a cage or something that like can traps heat really well, she could be dead within the day.
Well, it's a good way to
Well-
interrogate her if you really want to, as the bad
Oh
guy.
yeah.
It's like a weak. It's a weak spot that, not everybody would know. Like, this super soldier is very strong, but cannot operate in volcanic activities or, warm climates like tropical climates, because literally
Well,
she will overheat and
that's-
die.
Yeah, well, that's all pretty good, and well, actually, she could just simply wear less, but that's all pretty well and good until she learns that she can actually control ice, and that her fire powers isn't fire powers, it's thermal kinesis.
Ah, okay. So she will become Mrs. Freeze. Dun, 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 dun.
No, she'll just become able to control literally everything, which that sounds extremely
no,
overpowered, but she's gonna need it.
Come
Anyway, I'm sorry,
on.
but I also have to get going. I need to take my
Alright.
sister to the airport.
It's very late already, so
Ooh.
don't worry about it.
All right, see ya.
It's not late for him. It's 3:30.
Oh.
All right, goodbye, everyone. Thank you very much
will
for
s-
letting me on.
See ya, mate.
See ya.
Have a riot.
Yes.
Thanks. Bye.
Indeed. Speaking of which, it's getting late here, and I'm having already a very long way of thinking. So my mind is literally going almost in sleep mode. So
Okay, if you need to
Yeah.
head out, go ahead, Johan.
yeah, and at least it was a very blast. Thank you for having me all on, and I
Of
hope
course.
I'll see you all next time when I'm trying to represent it. All right, bye.
Okay. Have a riot.
Right, see ya.
So,
Alright.
your reading count?
Yeah, I guess I'll have to do a really quick one because I should be going on my walk right about now. This is my walk time. So I can't be here for very long. But this is a little bit, I haven't read from this for quite some time, but this is the Count of Monte Cristo parody where it's set in Middle Earth. And the Edmond Dantes has been turned into Samoir Gamgez. And he is in prison, and he's talking to the Abbe Frodia, who tells him, I read them before my imprisonment so thoroughly that the works of Thucydide, Zenarwen, Gondot, Pingolo, Camille Lesage, Jacques Bourges, the barbarian not devoid of genius, Moriadoc, Vin de Gilles, Sauron, etc., and of course all the other classics are graven in my memory. Naturally, I had acquired all the principal languages before imprisonment, and I used my palantir to study Lower High Modoroi even now. Show me the wonders you have made, I beg you, cried Gamgez. The Abbé Frodia removed from under his bed a slightly soggy but functional palantir, a small crystal vial that glittered when Frodia moved it, and rays of white light sprang from his hand, and a large book with a red leather cover. I manufactured the cover for my shoes and the red dye for my blood, he explained modestly. You are wondrously wise and learned, said Samoir. Perhaps you can answer a question that has vexed me for a long time. Try as hard as I might, I cannot comprehend how I came to be here in this prison. I would discover what mortal has inflicted this suffering upon me, that I might not curse Eru for it. Tell me your story, that my intellect may masticate upon the facts, and produce therefrom a truth as veritable as the indecencies of the mirror of Galadriela, replied the Abbé. So Gamgez related to Frodia all that had happened, beginning with his engagement to Rosédes and ending with his imprisonment. So, remarked the Abbé, Sackville Danglars knew about the letter entrusted you by your captain, and he had cause to be envious of you. Was he acquainted with Pipon, your rival in love? No. Yes. They dined together at Le Pony Pensant with I can't pronounce this guy's name. Botre. They had pens and paper. Oh, what a nini hamier I have been not to see it. Infâme! Infâme! But how could they have arranged that I be condemned without trial for imprisonment in this noisome pit? This is grave, said Frodia, but let us return to your account. You say that Monsieur de Villefaramir burnt the incriminating letter before your eyes? Yes, replied Gamgez. He incinerated it, saying, now your secret is safe. This conduct is too sublime to be natural, observed the Abbé. To whom was this letter addressed? To Monsieur de Daine-Toitier, Rue Coq-Urin-les-Clés, numéro 13, à Numanas, replied Samoir. The Abbé laughed, if not merrily, at least long. Do you not know who this Daine-Toitier is? He asked. Daine-Toitier is the father of Villefaramir. The thunderbolt, swooping upon Gamgez and carving at his feet an abysm that opened on the gates of hell or Mori, would not have produced in Samoir an effect less sudden. Now, would have produced in Samoir an effect less sudden, less electric, less overwhelming than these words. Clearly, concluded the Abbé, Sackville Danglars and Pipon plotted to have you charged with treason and imprisoned, and Villefaramir had you sent here to conceal some dark secret from his past that was contained in your letter. Voila the reason why he was so eager to burn it. The knowledge of who had effected his imprisonment filled Samoir's heart with a cold fury. Could he but tear himself away from that place of horror, he would embark on a lonely journey for vengeance. His anger would bear him down all the roads of the world until he had them at last. Pipon, Sackville Danglars, and Villefaramir. Then those traitors would die in a corner. But that was not what he was set out to do. Far more terrible than that would be his revenge, and far more pleasurable. And so he swore an oath that none shall break, and none should take. In the name of Iluvatar, calling upon him the Ténèbres Sempiternelles d'Absinthe, if he kept it not. And Manvre and Vard he named in witness, vowing to pursue to the ends of the earth those who had betrayed him. I am troubled to see that I have awakened you in the desire for vengeance, said Frodia. We will speak no more of that, said Gamgez with a sinister smile. But I would still like to know. Misericordia, cried the Abbé Frodia. If the giving of information is to be the cure of your inquisitiveness, I shall spend the rest of my days, short though they be, in answering them. What else do you wish to know? The names of all the stars and of all living things, especially poisonous plants, and the whole history of Middle-earth, and over heaven, and the sundering seas, and the champs Valinore, and all the chief languages of elves, men, and hired assassins, and where the best slave markets are, and whether balrogs have wings, and how best to prepare hashish, laughed Samoir. Mais bien sûr! And you expected perhaps autre chose? Very well. I will teach you all these things and far more, replied Frodia. It will help to pass the time, for there is only a brief time each day when we will be able to dig. And so Samoir began his remarkable education, learning everything from the correct pronunciation of Yeni Unotime to the intricacies of the Mordorian legal system. Although quite uneducated, he was a quick learner and rapidly absorbed every lesson in philology, philosophy, science, and haute couture that the consummate polymath imparted to him. Through constant interaction with Frodia, Gamgez acquired some of the Abbé's urbanity of speech and lost his rustic accent, and he never forgot what the learned Hobbit told him. No one will ever take you seriously until you stop adding "Et c'est un fait, ça" to every other sentence. They did not give up their dream of escape. Every night they spent a few hours digging in what the Abbé had determined through geomancy to be the best direction. They were always careful to return to their cells and conceal the passageway before the jailer made the rounds. One day, the Abbé Frodia said, in the most solemn voice Samoir had ever heard him use, "Listen, O son, I have something of the highest importance to communicate to you." "I'm listening," replied Gamgez. "I know a treasure that, should it come into your possession, will endow you with power and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. It is hidden on the volcanic island of Monte Fato, last remnant of the ancient realm of Mordor, that was whelmed with waves." "Bah, you are indeed?" replied Samoir as politely as he could. "After all I have taught you, you question me?" returned Frodia. "Now listen, and then behold the proof of my veracity. I had a decent career as a secretary for the Count of Caras Galadon before he passed away, and my political opinions got me into water hot with the elvish authorities. In my hours of leisure, my master encouraged me to pursue my own interests in history and geography, and I explored the archives of Lothlórien, where I found, concealed under stacks of worthless trash like The Lord of the Rings and Facieuse, the Hurricanades of Huron, or the tragical history of Monsieur de Fenreau and Arrondissette Labelle, the Testament of Sauron. Sauron left a will? Cried Samoir, but how came it to Lothlórien? Many are the amours of Galadriel, said the Abbé simply. Samoir blushed, and Frodia continued. As is notorious, Elrond attained and kept his preeminent position in Terre Moyenne, through the simple and yet effective technique of poison, being indeed for a time the greatest expert in herb lore, though tobacco seems to have escaped him, in the northern lands. His plans were, however, rather thwarted by the existence of a puissant ruler bent upon reducing all kingdoms to a beneficent order, Sauron. But I thought Sauron was evil, protested Gamgez. So you have been taught, sighed Frodia. But when you escape, you will study the matter for yourself and apprehend the truth. On Tukar, Elrond decided to eliminate all his rivals by inviting them to a council, and he made a point of inviting Sauron and his son, the Prince Fredigario. Sauron, suspecting that all was not Khalenar Bear cheese, wrote a secret will, leaving all his possessions to Fredigario and warning him of evil. This will was stolen by Galadriel during her night of passion with Sauron, so that not only he, but also his son perished at the hands of Elrond's poisoned margaritas. Galadriel took the will with her to Doloria, and sans doute would have hunted for the treasure had she not been distracted with dwarvish dissipations. Therefore, it was left to me to find this remarkable document. I had just finished transliterating it and translating it into some 15 different languages when I was arrested. I offered my captors a state far beyond their merit and wit, and they repaid me with blog and raillery. So much the better. It shall be yours, mon fils. How can this be? Cried Samwar in amaze. Behold, replied the Abbé. He pulled out from under his bed a very ancient manuscript written on the fell of Samwar dared not guess what creature. Gamgez gazed with fascination at the fiery letters. Today, the 25th of Loteseal, 3018, having been invited to dinner by his Elviness Elrond VI, and fearing that, not content with overcharging the margaritas, he wishes to inherit my ring and reserves for me the fate of Isildur and Anarion, murdered through poison. I declare to my son and universal heir, Fredigario Sauron, that I have buried, in a place known to him from having visited it with me, that is, in the cracks of the Isle of Monte Fato, all that I have possessed of ingots, mithril, minted gold, talking swords named Gouton, Arcanpierre, one ring to rule them all and in the darkness bind them, escargot, diamonds, jewels, umbrellas, opera glasses, palantir, and sundry other richesses, that I alone know the existence of this treasure, which is valued at almost 2 million gold pieces, and which he will find after having raised the 20th rock after the boiling of the thrush in wine, preferably Chianti or Monte Oioleseo, on Durin's day. 2 openings have been made in these rocks. The treasure is in the furthest corner of the second, under the great eye, which treasure I bequeath to him, in full ownership as my sole heir. The treasure, concluded Frodia, is worth more than the entire realm of Arnor. And is there in the world no more legitimate heir than we? Inquired Samwar hesitantly. None, I assure you, mon fils, replied Frodia. After the death of Sauron and Fredigario, an end came to all legitimate owners of this property in Terre Moyenne. If ever we escape together from prison, we will share our blessing. If you escape alone, it is yours. I have no right to it, protested the younger Hobbit. Its totality should belong to you. No, my son, you are the child of my captivity. Eru has sent you to me in order to console both the Hobbit that could not father children by Cassiopeia de Tuc, and the prisoner who could not be free. The 2 Hobbit continued their digging as best they could, given the frail condition of the Abbé, who, as he had warned Samwar, was subject to epileptic attacks on 6 Narkeler and 13 Sulimos of every year, on account of some unfortunate incidents involving rings and spiders, and about which the savant was not very forthcoming. It was therefore vital that they finish the excavation before the latter date, which, according to Frodia's calculations, was due to arrive in 21 days. Let's see, how many more pages are there of this? Okay, we're going to have to pause there and continue that next time or later anyway.
To acknowledge what Trip said in chat, and also what I was thinking, you called this short and you had to cut it short?
Yes.
Just, as someone who writes very long chapters, I just find that amusing. What is the word count that you just read?
I don't know.
Can you know, what are you reading it off of?
I'm reading it. It's actually on the web.
God damn
It was a what's the word? It was webified back in 2005 or 2000, I think. Yeah. The thing is that a lot of it, the time you're combining. I'm saying Elvish words in a French accent, so that makes it even harder to understand. So you need to know. You don't need. Yeah.
I understood nothing. I am not a good person to ask, but I understood nothing. I felt like I was back in my fucking temple, hearing the goddamn prayers, and not knowing what a single word fucking was, and just wishing I could leave.
Yep, it's actually the French. Yeah, it's actually just the same. It's actually basically the same story as the Count of Monte Cristo, only in Middle Earth, and they're in prison. So it's basically the same thing. It's just it might be easier if you're reading it, not hearing it read, but reading it. But even then, you'd have to know. You have to know Lord of the Rings, and you have to know something about the Silmarillion too.
Question, Count. I'm gonna make Trip regret this. Can you give us your best Gollum voice? You're not even talking. That's what.
I am talking.
You're hissing. Okay, now you're talking a little bit. read one of the lines you were saying in a French accent in that voice. Let's see how that goes.
I don't even know if my voice is relatively elastic, and I don't believe that it is possible for me to do that.
To read whatever Elvish thing he was doing in Gollum's voice.
Some welcome cheers.
Okay.
What the
Today, the 25 lost notice real 3018, my precious. Having been invited to dinner by His Heaviness, Elrond the Sixth, and fearing that
this is hurting my throat.
not content with over-chatting for the Margaritas, he wishes to inherit my ring and receives from me the fate of Isildur and Annarion, murdered through poison. I declare to my son and universal heir, Critica yourself, my precious, that I am buried in a place known to him. This is the thing.
Don't kill yourself.
What is
did
in
you
the
just say Gollum
Yes.
in a weird guppy voice?
25 precious, and all I possess.
I can't finish that sentence. Sorry. but you get the general idea.
Thank you very much for doing that, Count.
Precious. We eats it. We eats it raw and wriggling.
Not bad, actually. Yep, I'm gonna have to. Yep, I'm late for my walk, so I'm gonna have to get off very shortly. Hopefully, we can do something to figure out how to the times of these things and how to arrange the schedule and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll try. I have to figure something out. I promise. Maybe we will
Yeah.
do like an across the pond stream or something,
What do you mean by that?
like a early afternoon stream on like a Wednesday or something.
There are solutions you can do. Trip mentioned pre-recording. I think, just you have solutions, and I think you just need ideas, and then to ask people how this would work, and see if people, like for the Wednesday thing, do ask people from other times on being like, is this time better? I think Becca should be better, due to the fact that Wednesday is her free day. One of two.
Yeah, I mean, this Wednesday I'm going to be at the dentist, so I shan't be able to do anything on this Wednesday. But in general,
there could be advantages. We shall see. New era and all. We had to move showcases Friday to Thursday to Sunday. We can move it again as much as we like.
yeah, we moved to at one point it was Saturday too, so it's been a number of different days.
Yeah, I was just kind of experimenting with Sunday because I didn't want.
Fridays weren't working well for a while, so you changed it up a bit in hopes it would fix it.
Well, I start working on Fridays.
That's when you changed it to Sunday, because you also worked Saturday, I believe. But there was a time when Friday just wasn't working with people, and so you changed it in hopes like, okay, maybe Saturday people are more free. And then I think you changed it to Thursday about the time you were working as well for a while. You've had to change it a bit for various reasons.
Yeah,
I was just thinking like weekdays kind of always has some measure of complication due to scheduling and stuff.
There is, but it might be easier if we're doing an over the pond one due to the fact that it's nighttime then, basically, for everyone. So it's like, it's end of their day, they're not at work, they might even enjoy coming on a stream and reading if they aren't purely exhausted.
And you can alternate, you know.
Yeah, I'll alternate.
Yeah. Alternate, ask people, see which groups are going to be doing which. Basically, logistics. You're going to have to do some logistics. Don't worry, I'll help you out if you need it.
And she says that when you eat escargot, you turn into a golem.
Yes. What did you think Golem's been eating all this time?
No, he eats fishes, precious. He doesn't like nasty snails, is precious. Why does it eat snails? Snails is disgusting, precious.
You're scarily good at that.
Yeah.
Let's eat some fishes, or maybe some habits, precious.
And as Trip saying, have a UK co-host. Not sure how that would work is the thing. And you'd have to choose who from the UK could do it consistently. If you were to even want to do that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, interesting idea. I mean, I don't, because they sometimes have to work or whatever. Well, they could also, she says,
well,
you could do Saturday or they could do it on Saturday or Sunday. Then
I'm not sure how early she means Saturday, considering Dunn wakes up at 7 his time, I think.
Yeah.
I think he'd be too fucking brain dead, especially if he sleeps at 2 o'clock. Because, yeah. Sunday, maybe. I don't know. That would be your thing.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to ask You have to ask them. She says have codex. Do we have to like ask if it's okay with them and stuff? So maybe
Yeah,
you could arrange something.
the
the
point
point
is
is
the
that
guy
Kai-
doesn't have to do it.
point is that
Oh, so
Kai-
that,
so Kai
that's
doesn't
right. You just want to make it so he has something less to do, Trip, huh? I see where you're getting at.
She wants to get rid of him. That's the idea.
No, the opposite.
Bother.
She wants him to have less work so she can spend more time.
Sounds about right. Alrighty. I believe that it is my turn. So
Oh, and I'm sorry, I'm going to have to leave now.
You're fine. I think we've been going on for like 2.5 hours. I think I can kind of, since I haven't been able to give feedback on most things, I think I'll just wait till next week to read, I think. So I think that we can call it good for today there. Thank you all for coming, and adios.
Have a riot.
Bye.